Alright, hello and welcome to Estiqmedia. As you know, this is the first video you're definitely going to be seeing on the website, and I have a very intelligent and resourceful guest today. Okay, we're going to be talking about something very interesting, and I think a lot of people can actually relate to this particular story we want to talk about on the interview segment. My guest is Mr. Elvis Ehi. Ellen Mihaly. I don't know why that name. I apologize. I don't know why. You didn't even enter my talk.
It click soon.
Yeah, it's a click soon. Yes, it's a click soon. So he's a journalist, he's a seasoned journalist, he's a veteran. He's also a social commentator, a public affairs analyst, and he is the CEO of LH Communications. So you can see that I actually have a very resourceful person right on with me today. So we want to discuss about this particular trending story and across most of the media sections in the country. So there is this story where children who were released from a basement, they've been there for a long time in a church, particularly church, and they were released by the police, but they refused to go home. Those who went home insisted they wanted to come back to the church, and they say they will not go home until the pastor of the church is released. The story is quite, I don't know how to explain it. Now, based on this particular scenario, there's a report that these children could be under hypnosis. When I mean children, I'm not talking about kids of 5, 10. These are teenagers, adults who can actually make decisions for themselves. But somehow they've been trapped, or rather been kept in this basement for so long, and they believe that they want to undertake a rapture process with their pastors, a pastor David Anifowoshe and his assistant Peter Josiah. If you actually read this story, especially on the national dailies, you'll get to understand that it is quite a daunting scenario. How these children or these persons who are teenagers or adults who are in school, 400 level, some of them 300 level, some of them are 35-year-old and above, and they've been in this basement for so long, and it seems that they believe somehow that they will definitely get raptured with the pastor of the church, David Anifowoshe and Peter Josiah. And we really need to talk about it because apparently we call this a Stockholm syndrome. A Stockholm syndrome is a situation where a captive gets to, would I say, fall in love with their captor. We don't know what circumstance leads to that, but it usually happens where there's somehow the brain resets itself, where the captive begins to see the captor as a hero. Somehow, it happens. Could this be that that's the scenario with these church members?
Yeah, you are not far from the truth. That's it. What we are seeing here is not new in Nigeria.
Mm-hmm.
You know that this is a trending one at this moment.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe before the end of the year, another one will come up again. We just heard the one that happened in Ekiti State that when they were procuring rapture for 310,000 naira to follow the pastor to rapture. We just heard that, and we've had Reverend King issues before in this nation.
And we still have agitators for Reverend King.
In 2006, Reverend King's story broke, that even to the extent that some members of his church were beaten, flogged mercilessly until one of them was burnt and the girl died. Yes. That was brought at the Reverend King's story to the media then, and the government picked him up. I think he's been convicted for execution.
Yes. He's still there.
Still there. So here we are now. Another one has come up. This is the whole world believers Bible church. That's what they call the church. Yeah. So you see, what is playing out here is the Bible actually says that at the later part, that's towards the end of the world, things of this nature will happen. It's not new. If you are a Christian and read the Bible, and the Bible also told us too that only we should know the truth, and the truth will set us free. Unfortunately, I'm surprised because it's recorded that about 77 were rescued, and out of these 77, about 54 are adults. 23 are just children. So if these ones cannot read their Bible and know that the Bible says, I will come like a thief in the night. Somebody is telling you rapture is going to take place in February. It never took place. And it's told you that God has proposed it to September. And for you to be rapturable, You have to remain in the church. Something is happening somewhere.
You know, I've actually watched a movie where this particular scenario played out. So when this story broke and it circulated, to be honest, I thought I was watching a white movie. Because I've seen a movie exactly like that where members of the church were hypnotized, went through so many ritualistic processes, all in the preparation for a rapture or something with the leader of the church. And that when the police actually exposed that camp, they actually went to a certain countryside, very isolated. You see, each person has their job description. This one is to go to the farm. This one will go to the city to bring food, and all of that. Some certain funny behavioral patterns were adopted because it is what the leader of the camp said. But what do you think would have actually led to this thing happening? How did the parents of these adults, some of them actually do stay with their parents, not know that this is what was going on before they started looking for their words? Some of them said they've been looking for their children for a long time. They didn't know where they went until when the police exposed this particular case, and then a lot of them saw their words and their children, and they were shocked that all this while they thought their children were missing, or something may have happened in terms of maybe kidnapping or something like that. They reported the case to police, and when some of these from the persons who were released from the basement were shown on on television, and their names were and they asked, who are your parents? That's when a lot of them now realized that some of their children have been in this particular church with these pastors.
In this area, you liken it to, there are some scenarios I want you to look at. Look at the failure of the parent. Yeah. Then look at the failure of the government. Failure of the government comes as a result of things are difficult. People are just looking for a means of escape to survive. How can, if you go through that story, you see parents is saying, I think some of them did not even know where their children are. How do you report that? It sounds absurd for a parent to say he's not even aware that his child is somewhere. This is not a one-week matter. They've been there for some time. Then you look at the way we have turned religion in this part of the world to become fanaticism. In every facet, there are some organizations you will not even be employed except you are from a particular religion. These are some of the things. These are the three areas that we have to look at. By the time we now begin to move faster than the people that even gave us this religion, something else is happening. The Bible did not tell us that anybody was going to announce rapture. He did not tell us. He said he was going to come like a thief in the night. So if the parents cannot teach their children what the Bible says in their own home, then their children have now gone astray, whom do you blame? They have a blame. Parent. Things are difficult. Yes, everybody is looking for how to survive and all that. Then the government would not play their own part. They now suddenly find a soul link somewhere, and they say, I mean, have you thought of how that camp is being financed?
That's the truth. That's why I'm telling you, it seems like a white film.
Yes, these guys eat. You're not talking of just single match. You're feeding over 100
people,
persons in the same camp, and they eat. And what are you teaching them? When did this teaching start?
Exactly.
When did it start?
What were they giving?
I mean, what followed it? What followed it that now they are even talking that they are not going to follow their parents. And that their parents are not believers. And these are to the extent that they are saying until their pastors are released. David Anifoshe and the Pastor Josiah Asumusu, until they are released, that they are not leaving the police station. So when you see things of this nature, are you not even surprised that these are also end time signs? Because no reasonable human being can be, somebody will be brainwashing you and telling you, rapture has been postponed. Is it a meeting? Is it a conference meeting?
Is it possible though that there is something being fed to these people?
The teaching has been on for a while.
So it's just the
and
teaching.
Apart from the teaching, we hear so much stories, concerning religions as in this part of the world. There are the ritual, this, they do this. No right thinking human being will remain in that kind of circumstance. And before it gets to this level, something has gone amiss. Nobody knows how that structure was set up.
Mm-hmm.
You just walked in. Oh, probably some parents said they worshipped there for 20-something years.
Yes.
Something years. When they saw that the teaching had become something else, they were able to pull out. How come their children are not able to pull out and run with them? That's another big question. If I cannot go and my child is there, I'm even there more than myself. If I'm going, I should be able to tell my children, this is not where we should be going again.
This is wrong.
So if you left and your children are still there, you've not left. And these are even, some of them are even undergraduates. The shocking thing is that they are not illiterate.
They're not. One is actually going to Yoba College of Technology.
I even heard some of them mentioning
Bafemi University, 400.
So 400. So I mean,
studying agriculture.
These are not illiterates. So if it was happening in a setting that's because they didn't go to school, one can easily liken into that. But here we are hearing of undergraduates, and they have so brought into it. So it is not ordinary eye. It is not just what you and you are seeing. Something is behind this.
Okay, I would say this is this actually tells us of the social ills that we experience and how morals have devalued, and the attention span of guardians and parents on their wardens, on the people that they're supposed to guide. Alright, you can tell us your comments, tell us precisely what you think on this particular trending story. Apparently, it actually happens. I've actually watched it in a movie, but for me to hear about this going on in my own home country, then it means that particular white movie I watched actually elicited from a real life scenario. Okay, so tell us your comments. All right, tell us what you think about this particular situation going on. You can actually follow Estiqmedia on YouTube. You can also tell us your recommendations on www.estiqmedia.com. Okay, give me your comments. What do you think about this particular trending story, and have you also experienced other scenarios where something like this has happened, and what was it like? Or have you also in your family or a friend of yours, someone related to you, gone through something like this? What were you able to do? How was the family able to resolve the scenario? How were they able to bring the person back to a normal psychological state, a normal sane state, a mental state to the present state? So have fun, enjoy yourself.